Hi guys, here I have an old tractor that I got really curious if I'll be able to start it, and I got really curious is is it in okay shape or is it something messed up in it, and if it's messed up, can I fix it, stuff like that. I'm pretty curious what's going on with this machine, what's wrong with it, what's right with it, and whatever wrongs can I deal with it. So why did I get it? For fun purpose. I just really want to investigate what's going on with this tractor. It's a Deutz. This is Deutz, and this is part of the numbers you can see here, but not all of it. It is Deutz d4506. So part of the numbers visible here, and almost everything visible here. Just the 6 you don't see. The 6 will obviously been scratched off. This thing somebody bumped it in the front, welded it all up from the past battles that it has. Only letter D remaining, empty eyeballs for the headlights. This thing seen quite a bit up. But anyway, what about the tractor? What about the engine? This thing working or totally messed up? When we were loading it up, see, we're pulling on a loader, so there's a little bit visible that the loader been not used but just pulled around. This thing was pulled onto a tow truck platform. So really curious about this tractor. How much whole of a piece it is, or how much messed up it is. I'm for now just getting ready with it to investigate. This thing over here is the hydraulics fill hole. This thing, it has a dipstick. It's a plastic cap with a dipstick. Hydraulic fill hole. Yeah, from what I know, nobody tells me exactly where to drain the hydraulics, but one of the guys suggested that this pipe, it goes for the goes there and comes here. This is the one for the steering pump. So guys on the net say that they disconnect this thing, and that's how they drain the hydraulics reservoir of oil if needed. So I'm pretty curious about this whole thing. At this point, I'm even not sure this thing what it is. Does it has to do with a PTO, or this one has to do with a PTO, or something else? Not sure. We'll see. I'll figure it out. I've never dealt with really that much with tractors of a different origin. I know UMZ, MTZ, stuff like that, but I don't know these kind of things, but I'll learn. And this stuff is old, ancient. Obviously that's not gonna operate really. Would need to be replaced, and these things, look. This is so done. But that's not needed really. The internals, if they're not chewed up, they should be okay because it's enclosed. On the outside, no big deal. And over here, obviously some of the hoses, something is leaking, because you can see this side is dry, and over here it's a mess. Something around here is leaking. We'll investigate and find out how much of a messed up this thing is. I'm really curious. The rear tires, I can still use these. The front obviously is much older. You can see it's much older. And I pumped up, and this one surprisingly stays up. It was deflated, and that one was deflated. I pumped it up, so this one stays on and that one stays on. There is one that comes down though. This one, it pumps up. Look at these cracks. Check this out. Still this thing is able to pump up and come up. This one was the most pumped up tire. I added some more, not much, just some more. So 3 of them stay up, but this one no. The rear ones can get some use out of them, but look at this. Still, relatively, it shouldn't be the problem. These clearly were brand new tires. They were just not used. These tires, they didn't really see use. And that is older tire. But check this out. This is even newer tire. You see this stuff? This stuff hardly been used. So this tractor has been sitting and sitting and sitting. So I wonder what's gonna come up out of this. I found water in a transmission. The hydraulics reservoir is okay. There is a hole connecting the transmission and the differential box. Obviously the water was in both. I lifted up the jack, with the jack I lifted up the truck. It came down right now, but when I was spinning one tire, the other was spinning opposite, which would indicate that differential is probably relatively okay at this point. At least it's stiff. It still might be broken, chewed up teeth, but anyway, when spinning this tire, another was spinning in opposite, which obviously tells this is no limited slip differential. I'm even not sure if any modern tractors have limited slip. This is just a open plain differential, but spinning one tire, another one was spinning in opposite direction. That at least tells me that the differential is not locked up. It's at least some information. With the engine, I found still pretty decent oil in it, good level, not like with the transmission. And check this out. Do you see? No oil cap. Surprisingly, how the water didn't get in it, no idea. But there is absolutely no milky oil in the engine. Checked and rechecked. It's just good blackish oil. It's a diesel. Older diesel's oil goes black really fast, but it still has some brownish in it, so the oil is not too bad, even though I still change it. But oil wise in the engine does look okay. So we'll see. I'll prime this stuff and we'll try to start it. This thing is also air cooled, and look how much garbage is in there. Check this out. This is 1970s tractor, and it's been sitting forever with some guy. So I really got curious. But this is basically my fun project. When I don't have what to do, I'll be digging in it. I did some digging already, but I need to do more digging. I was figuring out the starter thing over here. All this wiring was totally messed up. I found burned up wire. See? From here and to here I connected this. This black piece was burned out. It was completely open wire. Obviously was shorting on the tractor. So I did that, and there is something else I need to check, and we'll be trying to start the whole thing. I need to do some more checking on the transmission also, to make sure I can start it, to make sure nothing is gonna happen. Just in case, better check first. This thing, for what I found out from guys, this is hydraulics filter. I opened it up and checked it. It looks decent, though you can never really tell, but surprisingly it looks decent. The hydraulics oil in it looks clear, which is also pretty surprising, but looks clear. That is a good part. About the transmission, that's not so what I would want to see, but we'll see. So this is Deutz d4506 1970s tractor. This thing is potentially 50+ year old. Put it 50-year-old. This thing is old. They used to be, for what many people say, nice tractors. Used to be. But for now we'll see. If the engine is not good, we'll tear it up. Anyway, for fun purpose to dig, I'll find what to do with it. If engine is good, okay. If engine is not good, put it aside. Maybe repower with something else in a funny YouTube way, whatever, anything. If engine is good, I think I'll be really happy. But more checking needed to be done. We'll see. I'm really curious. Will the engine start? I'm close to that. I'm really close to that, to get to started. We'll see. But most of all, when I drained the transmission, I was really unhappy that, goodness gracious, about almost 2 gallons of water poured out of the transmission. Can you believe that? At least I'm happy that the engine doesn't have anything like this. But the transmission, wow. Almost 2 gallons of water. That's completely insane. It was pouring absolutely clear water. And then after a while, finally started to pour some milky, nasty oil out of there. So transmission and differential has been having some kind of mess in it. I'll be opening the transmission. There is a little window right underneath it, to say so, like on the belly of the transmission. And I hope that's some kind of access, so I'll be opening it and to see, maybe I can see gears, stuff like that, and see what's up with it. So this old dinosaur, I'm wondering what's gonna be up with it. One thing I know, this is enough for me to have fun. Absolutely enough to dig and pull, check, investigate, try. That's what I need. That's exactly it. I got it for funny money, just a few hundred. Could have gotten it probably somewhere free, but around me nothing cheaper was available to haul over here and dig in to have some entertainment. Everyone has their own entertainment. This is gonna be my entertainment. I'm already entertained big time. This is funky. Look at this, I brought this pin. There was no pin. This thing hanging like this, it's supposed to go here. This is interesting, man. This is really interesting. I'm curious like a puppy with all this. I'm so curious where all this leads. And if it's totally messed up, can I somehow get it to move? With this engine or with something else or whatever, anything. Can I get it somehow to move? I am wondering. We'll see. That little Craftsman, I have been fixing it. This thing been falling apart big time. Thing after thing, thing after thing. Just the engine itself is still on, working. Too many things on it. The tires started to go flat. I used some of that slime. The tire started completely cracking up, giving the slime out. All right, replacing all the tires right at home in the garage. All of them replaced. It used to get stuck real quick, so I put this stuff. Now it's like ATV. I go all around this acreage, anywhere. It doesn't get stuck, no matter the rains, no matter the water around. It just plows through anything with this kind of tires. Slow speed, obviously. And it's nothing much of it's pretty flat over here. But still, if you get stuck right on a flat surface with whatever tires I had, that's not very pleasant. Nothing much of a terrain here, but at least it doesn't get stuck with this whatsoever. It goes anywhere. That's already good. So a bunch of small things. This thing had shorts, all kinds of stuff. It had all kinds of funky stuff. The deck was starting to seize, so I've replaced everything that has bearings in it, all that spindles stuff. Anything bearings, it's all replaced. The clutch, the PTO clutch, also the bearing went out. I replaced the bearing on a PTO clutch right underneath the engine, on the engine's shaft, and other small things. But this thing is so simple. That's like nice, easy fun, no big deal. This thing is more complicated here, but for what I've been looking at it, not that complicated. And from some previous knowledge of stuff like that, this is a simple thing. It's not like modern tractors. This is a real simple thing. The fuel pump is mechanical. There is no computer here, nothing like that. No engine control module or any other module. I cannot find any kind of electricals except the starter motor. That's it. Every other electrical stuff possible been stripped. Like, look, here should have been some kind of lights and over there, and here turn lights, stuff like that. It's all gone. Nothing here, nothing. I've heard that these kind of tractors, they were a little bit kind of notorious for shorts. So anything electrical you see here, goodness, it's been stripped and just thrown away. And the only real electrical still existing with the starter motor and this alternator that I'm even not sure if it's operational or no. I have still to check on that, but that's not right now my main concern. This is a huge Gentos battery with a lot of cranking amps. This is big old battery. 950 cranking amps, cold cranking amps. So this is basically semi-truck battery. You don't really have to worry about running alternator any soon. And for now, just to test it, it's not like I need some kind of headlight or something. So who cares about that alternator? And this is old school diesel. Once you start it, you don't need a battery. It will just run by itself. Once it starts and you cut off, release the switch, that's it. No more electrical power is needed. It's gonna run on its own. So pretty much need for electrical power over here is minimal. And with that big old battery. So we'll investigate some more. Pretty curious to see the old dinosaur. What's happening in its guts. Man, I'm itching to get into this more than I just had. We'll do that. Very curious.